for you all.
The order?
Of course.
What is it? Oh, all right.
Hey, Rabbi, do you know if Moshe is check the stuff that you guys need to do for the holidays this year?
Yeah, we're gonna work on ours.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's like, there's one person for each 4 weekdays for like holidays. Perfect. We got one on that. Yeah.
And I'm available to help.
Great, yeah. Super excited about that. All right, let's get started. Well, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Welcome. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And it's great to be here. For us, how you doing?
All right, I think.
You still here?
I'm still here.
Yeah. So the thing that makes you sleepy in Turkey is called tryptophan.
Yes.
Just learning that. I knew it made you sleepy. I wasn't sure. I didn't realize it was like. And I guess so. Chickens don't have.
No.
Does anything else have tryptophan besides turkey? What else has tryptophan?
Sleeping pills.
That's not so fascinating. Anyways, a little Shabbos conversation before we get going. All right, so we're going to begin with our lighting the candles. So I'm going to invite Judy and Roger up here to help us with that. So I'm going to put my mask back on. Thank you so much. Okay, and then we're going to start on which page, Ross?
128.
128. 128
128.
for Hine Matov.
So my book is now on 38.
Well, that's not right.
No. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Okay. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. And forward to page 138 for L'chadodi. We will be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we start verse 9, we invite you to please rise and face the entrance. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabela l'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila l'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabela likrat Shabbat l'chuven elcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maseh b'machshava techila l'chadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Itoreri, Itoreri, Kiva orech kumi ori, Uri, Uri, Shir daberi, Kavod Adonai alayich nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uv'tzala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We continue on page 140 with the Mizmor Shir and then the indented part at the bottom, the Tzadik Tamar. Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Tov lahodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. L'hagid baboker chasdecha, V'emunatecha v'alehot, Alai hasor v'alei nevel, Alai chagim v'chinor, Mizmor Shir liyom HaShabbat, Tov lahodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Skipping down to the indented portion for Tzadik Tamar. Tzadik Tamar yifrach, Kerez bavanan yizkeh, Sheklulim bevet Adonai, Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, Odenun v'seva, Deshainim v'rananim yiyu lehagid, Ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo latabo.
Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Okay,
Aleichem
142.
Shalom. 142, yes. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Ni Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom,
Kaddish, huh? 144?
144.
144.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba B'yalma divrach erutev yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon U'chayechol beit Yisrael Bagala U'izman kariv Imru amen Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Le'al Me'almaya Yisborach Yitbarach V'yishtabach Yitpar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Barichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru amen. And we continue on 146 with the Baruch Hu. We ask you to please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach. Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated.
Okay, we're on page 148, and I'm going to start about, let's see, line 12 from the top. Uma'avir Yom.
Oh, Mavir.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Uma'avir Yom u'mevi laila Uma'avdil ben Yom u'ven laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai ha'mahari v'haravim.
Sure, I'm going to read the English on top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hamari v'aravim.
And we continue on page 150 with the Ahavat Olam, the traditional version. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Ahavata Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al Kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shachreinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'lahem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'lahem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'lahem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'lahem negei yomam v'layla V'havatecha tasur mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael. And we will be on page 152 as soon as I figure out how to turn the page.
You got there.
We ask you to rise, please. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meotecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'derech U'shachdecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leod al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'kravtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם מכל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You may be seated.
And we continue on 158 with Michamocha. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Osef eleh, Malchutecha, Rahuvanecha, Okei hayam, Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zeli anu v'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam, Adonai imloch le'olam ba'ed. V'nehemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'galo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We continue on page 160. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shemreinu l'hayom u'faros aleinu sukat shalom mecha v'daknenu be'etz tova milfanecha v'hoshienu l'man shemecha. I'll pick up at the indented portion in a moment. U'shemor tzeitenu uvoinu l'chaim u'l'shalom mi'ata v'yad olam Baruch atah Adonai ha'porei sukat shalom aleinu aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Just keep going.
I'd better see where I am then.
I think we're on your summer.
We're on Rishambru on
Yeah.
page 162. Oh, helps if I pay attention to my own notes.
Yeah.
All righty. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasod et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Ki Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et HaShamayim V'et Haaretz V'shamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasod et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam Uvayom HaShvi'i Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash V'shamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam Berit Olam. We are going to continue with the Amidah, coming up, starting on page 164. I will probably do a little bit, meet you on page 180. Feel free to be seated whenever you're completed.
When you rise first.
Rise. All rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu V'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaHanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imaot U'Mevi Goel V'Bnei B'neihem L'man Shema V'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magin Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morin Hatal Mechakeh. Not December 2nd yet.
I thought it was after Simchat Torah.
No.
Okay.
December 4th.
Does it feel like summer to you guys now?
Nope.
Okay.
Hey, hakol, barachamim rabim, somech lochim v'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, u'makayim u'menotol l'shenei afar, milchamocha v'al gvurot, u'mihidom melach, melech lemin u'mchayeh, u'matzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atal ha'chayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shim kal kadosh u'kadoshim b'chal yom yahalu chasdela, baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We'll meet you on page 180. Bottom of page 180. Ohose shalom b'brama, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ohose shalom b'brama, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yahase shalom, Yahase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahase shalom, Yahase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahase shalom, Yahase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yahase shalom, Yahase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Okay, thanks, Ross. I'm going to recite a few words of Torah. So one of my favorite stories comes from this week's portion. Now, this week's portion is mostly about the adventures of Joseph, but we're right stuck in the middle of Joseph's narrative is a story about Tamar and Judah. And so I'm going to read you sort of a retelling of that story tonight that I wrote. So Tamar finds herself in a sort of exile that was not of her making. Once upon a time, Tamar was a person of means. She was to be betrothed to Judah's firstborn son, And since the firstborn receives the inheritance of their father, not only was she marrying into a wealthy family, but she'd be the bearer of the son who would receive that wealth as well. This was a coveted and highly sought-after marriage arrangement in the ancient Near East. Alas, tragedy struck. Her husband, it would seem, was into some frowned-upon activities, and this got him killed. The details are fuzzy in the Torah, but what we do know is that Tamar is not widowed for long. She soon accepts the marriage of Er's brothers Onan in a levirate marriage. Now, levirate marriages are part of some strange jurisprudence when it comes to the ancient Near East. Strangest of which is that any child of a levirate marriage is officially the child of the dead husband and older brother. Onan knew this and was not thrilled. If he was able to marry someone different, then he would technically become the firstborn son. And with his son would inherit the wealth of his father's family. However, as long as Tamar was his wife, their firstborn would never be considered his child, but a child of his dead brother So Onan hatches a plan to make Tamar look barren by wasting his seed, as the Torah puts it, and letting it fall to the ground. This plan should have worked. However, apparently Adonai caught wind of Onan's crime and punished him for it with death. And this puts Judah in kind of a peculiar position. He is now mourning the death of his 2 sons, and he has one more, but he's beginning to think of Tamar as a bit of a black widow. Furthermore, his 3rd son, Shelah, is still a minor and not appropriate for marrying age. So his solution is to send Tamar into exile at her father's house until his son grows up. Then he promises that she will be able to finally be a wife to their family. And so she went from the pride of her family to a freeloader at her father's house. This must have been devastating. Essentially, it looks like she failed to launch, except that she's done everything right and is the victim of bad luck and the unethical behavior of her previous husbands. So you can imagine her anger when Judah and son happens to be in the neighborhood, and she sees that Shelah is all grown up. He is definitely past marrying age, and she received nary a text about their betrothal. So she hatches a plan and jumps into action. She adorns the clothes of an ancient Near East sex worker and positions herself at the crossroads that Judah will soon pass through. When Judah sees her, he does not recognize her, like at all. Being a recent widower himself, he acquires of her services that she may be able to provide to him. He even offers to send her a baby goat in payment. He, of course, does not have a baby goat on his person, and when she demands collateral, he's not sure what to give her. So she demands his signet ring, his cord, and his staff. This, by the way, is way too much to ask for when it comes to collateral. The equivalent would be like someone asking for your passport, your credit card, and your social security number all in one. And I don't know what she's thinking when she asks for these 3 permanent identification markers, when one would have been enough for them. So I can't even imagine her disbelief when he agrees to it. He just hands her all of his important identifiers, and off they go. So later, Judah is back home and really wants his stuff back. He sends that baby goat to her through a friend, but she is nowhere to be found. In fact, when his friend asks around the neighborhood about the lady at the crossroads, no one knows what he is talking about. And when he reports back this problem, Judah feels this is a super embarrassing situation. So he resigns to get new identification documentation instead of looking for her, and hopes he doesn't have to explain too hard why he needs it. 3 months go by, and the town's snoop and gossip approaches Judah with some salacious news. Apparently his once and future daughter-in-law Tamar has gotten herself pregnant. And since she has not in fact married her fiancé yet, aka Judah's son, then this would be an out-of-wedlock kind of situation. Judah is instantly incensed and demands that she pays for her crime by death, specifically by burning. I'm not sure why. When Tamar is brought to Judah for what I guess is going to be her execution, unfortunately the Torah is not quite clear here, but she concludes the final part of her plan. In what must have been an incredibly dramatic moment, she says, "The man whom these belong made me pregnant. Acknowledge whose signet seal, cord, and staff these are." The Torah is not clear how she is showing the signet ring, their signet seal, the cord, and the staff. But I imagine she's opening some sort of chest with a dramatic flourish in clear view of Judah. Judah is instantly chastised as he suddenly remembers that he had not married her to Shelah yet. He even says, "She is more right than I." And that's pretty much how the story ends. She does bear twins named Perez and Zerah, and Perez, by the way, is the grandfather to King David, making Tamar David's great-grandmother. In conclusion, there are a lot of difficult components to this story that hurts my modern sensibilities of gender equality. However, it is my belief that this narrative is showing approval towards Tamar's actions and is self-aware that she is David's progenitor. She transgresses ancient Near East customs, she takes on considerable risk, and she tricks Judah. Not only does the narrator approve of this, but she is rewarded for it. Her 2 previous husbands do something similar and are both divinely killed. Perhaps because Tamar takes action for the sake of propriety, even while being improper, her actions are considered kosher by Adonai. However, a final question is, who is Tamar? This is the only time we get to see her. And we don't know whether she is an Israelite. We don't know anything else about her. We just don't know. That's all I've got. Thank you. Okay, we're now going to continue, normally with the Mishnah Berach, right? Yes, on page 371. And before I get there, or before Ross sings, we're going to say this, a few community members who are in need of healing. Sorry. Tina Mink, I'm not going to take you off, Ross. Tina Mink, Chris Converse, Jennifer Eskridge, Ian Clift, David Tobias, Kitty Flagel, Lindsay Raber, Micah Purdy, Cheryl Imbriani, Laura Allen, Susan Super, Mary Jo Robinson, Melba Cook, Emmy Webb, Stephen Lamp, Russell Krass, Bill Ross, Alan Friedman, Russ Nog, Ross Rumack, Norma Haas, Ray Ellis, Judy Cantor, Carol Riven, Diane Kaplan, Craig Paulus, and Philip Kaufman. If there's anyone else who you are thinking of, please feel free to say their names out loud or in your hearts.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu, mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We continue with the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gedula l'yotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת זו וגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ומלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. על כן נקבל חרם אלוהינו ורבנו וזכר למרגלים ונפנה לכל אנשי הארץ. כי המלכות שלך היא עולמיות תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, be seated. We continue on page 598 with the Kaddish Shalem, the mourner's Kaddish.
You can stand if you want to stand for the mourner's Kaddish. In our own community, we were thinking about these yard sites this week. Arthur Bashuk, Jose Kravitz, Florence Greenman, Richard Kaufman, Shirley Mintz, Mary Schomburg, Glennis Silverman, and Marshall Zeman. If there's someone who you were thinking of, please feel free to say their names out loud or in your hearts. Zikrona Livracha, may the memory be for a blessing. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'elma divra churyote v'yamlik malchute, B'chayechon uvyamechon uvchayedechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehesh me Rabba Mivarak le'olam ulome almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitbramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemer kudusha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'elma v'imru, Amen. Yehesh lama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleni v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleni v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. You may be seated. Okay, announcements. So, tomorrow we have our text study. It starts at 10:30, and we will have our Torah Uncensored. Tomorrow it starts at noon. You can still sign up if you want. It's free for members. And then we have our morning minyan every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And we don't have religious school this Sunday, but we will the following Sunday. And I think the couple of other things is that we will be having a Hanukkah celebration. Hanukkah starts Sunday night, by the way. And so next Friday, what we're going to do is we're going to still start at 6 p.m., but we're going to start with a Hanukkah lighting. And we're going to invite anyone who wants to bring a Hanukkah to come. And so we can all light our Hanukkahot together right as services starts on Friday. So that will be sort of our safe Hanukkah celebration. No big party this year, unfortunately, which I'm a little bummed out by, but whatever. Hopefully one day we can come back in this building and really celebrate something. Maybe by Purim, I'm just putting that out there. We'll see what happens. Passover would be great. Just putting that out there too. We're worshiping right now, so this me asking God a few things. But yes, so come bring your Hanukkah on next Friday, and we'll all light our Hanukkah together. And then I believe World AIDS Day is on December 1st, and I'll be running a program with the four A's about World AIDS Day, and I'll send more information about that later. But yes. I think that's everything right there. Yeah. Anyone else think of anything else going on? Okay, well, there we go. I think Ross is going to close us out with a closing melody. I'm guessing it's Adon Olam.
It is. It's
Yeah.
on page 625. That was a pretty good guess since it's right here.
We don't know yet. Probably sometime in January, though. But we'll start advertising it heavily once we're ready for that. Yeah. Why? You got someone you got to know?
No, just wondering when it is.
Okay. You want to get your bar mitzvah again? Where are we again? 625? 625.
625. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra lehnasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nehora v'hu haya v'hu over v'hu yiyeh b'tifara v'hu echad ve'en sheni l'hamshilo l'hakbira b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra v'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur chevli b'etzara v'hu nisi umanosli v'nakosi b'yom ekra b'yado nakid ruchi v'heiti shan v'ayira v'im ruchi geviyah Nishmati Adonai li velo ira.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us online.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's that song, too. So take care.